This is TWiT.
The Zoom panic has begun. So let's see. I could go through the whole litany of things Zoom has done wrong. This is the program everybody's using. It was really designed for business, and we've used it in my business for some time, even though I have never been a fan. I'm a fan of how it works. It works really well, and that's why people use it. It's easy to understand. It just works. But even last year, there were issues with Zoom. The way Zoom installed, for instance, on a Macintosh, they did a number of things that were not kosher for Passover. But the worst thing was, after you uninstalled Zoom, it kept a web server running on your Macintosh at all times, which bad guys could then use to attack your system. When it was discovered, Zoom didn't respond very quickly. Apple actually had to push out a fix that removed the Zoom web server. I'm sure Apple was not happy about that. But Apple users, you could feel good. Apple's sticking up for you. I understand why Zoom did it. Zoom was a business product. They were focused on making it easy for relatively unsophisticated users. Think about it. A lot of companies use Zoom for conference calls with potential clients for pitches, right? You don't want to make a potential client have to jump through hoops. What you really don't want to have to do is make them install software and configure software before they can join the meeting. A client's going to say, well, if you're going to make me do that, forget it. You can pound sand. So Zoom was always designed to make it as easy as possible. Now, I'm not apologizing for Zoom, but I do understand why it's the way it is. They wanted to, so that web server, for instance, made it so that even if you uninstalled Zoom, if you just clicked a Zoom link, you know how you get those, maybe you don't, but the way it works is you create a meeting and it sends out an invitation, puts it in the calendar. You could just click the link in the calendar and boom, you're in the conference. Magic. That's kind of what you want, right? If you're doing these sales calls. Even if you didn't have the software installed, it would install it behind the scenes and open it up. So Zoom, I think, erred on the side of making this convenient, not considering the security consequences. Now, when they were apprised of this, they didn't act. So, there's a black mark right there. Then lately, there's been issues like the Zoom iOS app using a Facebook kit of tools was, even if you weren't a Facebook user, telling Facebook all about you. It's not so good. Most recently, Zoom was routing calls through China. They say it's an accident. Zoom, there are privacy issues. There's a free tier of Zoom. You can do 40-minute calls for free. And those, they were looking at what you were doing and mining it for advertising information. All of these things, negative, now. But people still use it. And I'm, my company still uses it. I'm trying to talk them out of it. I can't convince them, because it's so easy and everybody has it and everybody knows it. And, why not use Zoom? Oh, I forgot even to mention Zoom bombing. This is where, there's a whole Discord channel. Discord is another product that the youngs like to use. It's a chat product, does video calls. It's, it's kind of like Zoom for nerds, I guess, for gamers and stuff. And there's a whole discourse channel of Zoom meetings you can Zoom bomb. They think it's the funniest thing ever. And if you think back to when you were in high school, maybe you might have too. I don't know. But they don't understand. And honestly, what they're doing is awful. I have a friend who's in a 12-step program, goes to AA meetings. They have to do these meetings now via Zoom. And they're in a meeting, having their fellowship. It's great. And some jerk comes in and starts really just appalling stuff. I can't say it on the radio. It's just awful. And it was very upsetting and offensive and triggering and not good. And these kids don't know, but nevertheless, it's appalling. Stop it, knock it off. If you're one of those people, this is not good. Nazi slogans, racial epithets. It's just, Another reason not to use Zoom, although, to be fair, Zoom does have settings. It's just the default settings, because it's for business, are wide open. You can go into the settings and say, hey, don't let anybody join unless by invitation. The problem is an AA meeting is a good example. You want to make those public. You don't want to make them hard to enter. You don't want to have to put up a password. I don't know if there's a fix for that. If a meeting's public, you can go into the Zoom settings and say only the host can show, his screen. Only the host. There's settings you can lock it down a little bit better. And I hope people are learning those settings. If you Google, TechCrunch had a great article, Zoom bombing TechCrunch. You'll find the article, how to protect your Zoom meeting. It does make me wonder, though, why are we using Zoom? There are many other choices. Another thing Zoom does badly and wrong is they say we are end-to-end encrypted, private. Not so. But it's the nature of the beast. They can't really be private. It can be encrypted as it's traveling over the internet, but Zoom's servers have to be able to see the conversations in order to mix them and do all the, highlight the speaker and all that. So they're not encrypted on Zoom's servers. So their use of the term end-to-end encryption, which means in my book and in the books of people who understand what E2E is, they're not doing. E2E means no one can see it except the parties in the conversation, and that's not the case. So it's not completely private. And if it's routing it through China, well, maybe that's even worse. There are other solutions out there. I'm just saying they're not as obvious and easy to use, and I can't convince my team. I've set up, there's a wonderful open source program called Jitsi, Jitsi. Every bit as easier to use as Zoom. In fact, I would say easier because there's no software install. It just works in a browser. Works best with Chrome. So if you get a link, you click the link, and you're in. And by the way, the links are better than the Zoom links because they're not long numbers and they're words. And it's easy to share them just on the phone. You can password protect them if you want. And it works beautifully. And it's free. Just no charge at all. Jitsi, JITSI.org. In fact, and this is what I did for our company, it's easy if you know what you're doing and if you happen to have a little, ability in the Linux world. It's a two-step process to install your own Jitsi server. I'm running one on my little box at home. Then it is private. It's encrypted in transit. And yes, in order to do these conference calls, the server has to see the calls, but it's my server. I'm the only one seeing it. And I'm not seeing it. But for our team, this is true private teleconferencing. I try to get my family to use it. My son is in, they're all at different places, and we wanted to have a little family get-together yesterday. We tried it. My kids could do it. My ex-wife couldn't figure it out. We had to go to Zoom. I'm putting my face in my palm right now, but I'm not touching it. I'm just hovering it. So, and I can't, we have our own server with the name of the company, and we can make up meetings like, sales meeting with Xerox as the name of the thing. Something very easy. You could even just say it, and they still won't use it. So it's it kind of says something about our world in general, is that it's one of the reasons why people still buy Windows. Don't. Stop. Please. Stop. Stop the insanity. Stop buying Windows. It's terrible. It's terrible. But everybody knows it. It's easy to buy a PC down at the Best Buy or the Costco. They've got them. They run Windows. Cheaper than a Mac. Please don't. I know you will. Please don't use Zoom. I know you will. There are better alternatives, but go ahead and try to explain to somebody how to use Linux or Jitsi. No. They're actually easier, more reliable, not as buggy. They don't send data to China. Microsoft has said, oh, hey, you can use Skype. We got Skype now. It's just like Zoom. Yeah, that's fine. That'd be better than Zoom. You could trust Microsoft anyway, I guess. It's a little frustrating for us nerds, geeks. We say, but there's a better way. See right over there. Yeah, but nobody got fired buying Windows. Yeah, right.